brand new sponsor, Ceramic here, have been a part of this competition. They have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor, Ceramic here, have been a part of this competition. They have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor, Ceramic here, have been a part of this competition. They have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor, Ceramic here, have been a part of this competition. They have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor, Ceramic here, have been a part of this competition. They have been getting Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you for joining us here on another CTCC Friday with the JSRA. My name is Chad Dillon, and again, thank you for joining us here this evening. This is round number 4 in the North American Tour. That's what this season is about for the Caribbean Touring Cars, and this is the Virginia International Raceway, a very challenging 17 turns around this track, 5.3 kilometers, lots of elevation change, some very unforgiving curbs, and you are going to see lots of high-speed flat-out action, but also some very tight sections that the drivers have to maneuver here this evening. And as mentioned before, this is the final round of the North American Tour, round number 4 here. And already we see the blistering times at the top of the timing sheet. Roger Robinson and Jaden Harrison giving no quarter 500ths of a second between those two drivers. Nothing strange in this particular series, as this is our touring car series where these cars were designed and built here at the JSRA with this kind of action in mind, close, hard racing to provide lots of intense battles that we are sure to see kick off when we get into the qualifying session. A smaller grid than expected this time around, just about 8 drivers participating in this evening's doubleheader. There are 2 races to be had. The first race, both races 20 minutes. The first race will be, the grid will be set by a qualifying session, 15 minutes of qualifying action coming your way at the end of this practice session. And the second race will be a reverse grid. Normally I would tell you it's a reverse grid of the top 12. However, there are only 8 drivers, so it's just a reverse grid of the entire running order. So as I mentioned, we will be getting into the quali session in about 5 minutes from now, and that will set us up for the first race. And looking at the timing sheets, we are expecting a close fight for pole between one Jaden Harrison and Roger Robinson. I am not discounting any of the drivers behind, though. The likes of Eaton and Plummer can always find a lap when they need to, so we will keep an eye on those two as our dark horses for that possible pole position. As we are wrapping up this quali session, the drivers still just doing the last of the dialing in of their setups and making sure they have the ultimate understanding of the racetrack here this evening. We will just ride on board with some of these drivers to wrap up the session, and then we will get some more action coming your way into qualifying. Sorry there, folks, as we were just dialing out some technical difficulties. This is virtual racing after all, and on occasion we will struggle with a little bit of technical difficulties. And yeah, so back on track here now for the racing action that's about to come your way, with the drivers getting ready for the quali session in about 2 minutes time, 2 minutes 20 seconds. And again, the drivers have uses of push to pass in the practice session and in the race, but not in the qualifying session. Those drivers will have to do their ultimate lap times on pace alone without the advantage of that push to pass. The push to pass feature gives you an extra few horsepower unlocked when that button is pushed, so you will call it the magic button. And when the drivers have it enabled, it is for a brief stint, roughly 5 to 10 seconds, and after it has elapsed, there is a cooldown period, and the drivers are only allowed to use it twice per lap. So be on the lookout for the usage of push to pass by race time. And again, we are back to checking on the timing sheets to see what the times are looking like. We have Jaden Harrison at the top of the timing sheet at 1:55.8, with Roger Robinson also on a 1:55.8, just 0.05 of a second between those two drivers. Eaton is a good 0.6 adrift of those two at the moment, but some of these drivers enjoy the thrill of the sandbag, so let's see what happens when they take those sandbags out of the car come quali time, which we are moments away from now. And Raven Plummer, always a dark horse in any event that she participates in. Whether she can stick it on pole is not usually where she shines. Her strong point is normally during the race, where she herself has admitted that her setups are more gauged to race pace than quali pace, so keep an eye on her during the race for any moves to be made. But once again, as we wrap up the qualifying session here, the drivers should all be on their final flying laps before heading back to the pits to get themselves ready for the qualifying session. We will see where the time will be found during the qualifying 15 minutes, so stick with us and we will be back with you at the start of qualifying. You see the most exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. See the most exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. See the most exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. The drive was now heading out for the first round of flying laps. Of course, the out laps come first, but when we get back to the start finish line, the drivers will be setting their laps to show us what they've got in the tank, to see who will be starting at the front of the grid. And once again, all eyes will be on the likes of Jaden Harrison and Rohei Robinson for that top spot, but keep an eye on the aforementioned dark horses to see if they can get themselves in the mix for the qualifying purposes. Jaden Harrison there doing his best to get some heat into those tiles on the run up the hill. This entire section, despite how it looks, is actually flat out, foot to the floor the whole way through until you get, well, there's a small lift through the previous corner, and until you get into this section, a heavy braking zone before the very long back straight that takes you into the final sector and towards the uphill chicane. The elevation change around this track is something to marvel at. As you can see, the graphic there giving us a good idea of what the elevation change looks like coming down that hill heading towards the chicane braking zone. Jaden Harrison now coming through the final corner on that downhill run, and will be the first driver to start a flying lap. So we will ride on board with Jaden Harrison to see what he gives us on this, the first flying lap of the qualifying session. Across the line there now, heading towards the first heavy braking zone of turn 1, going down through the gears, back on the power to sweep out of that corner, and then head very quickly into turns 3 and 4, where you have to set yourself up for the best possible exit there, and then into the Apologies there, ladies and gentlemen, as we were not getting audio from these cars as Jaden is going through the hairpin of turn 10, I believe that is, on the long run now down the back straight. Let's see what we have when he gets back to the line. So we're expecting pole time somewhere in the mid 155, so we will see if Jaden is on it right away. And these rivals have a tendency to force me to eat my word, so we will see if this is one such instance where we may be flirting with the 54s. I'm not sure that's entirely possible in these cars, but never say never with some of the drivers here at the JSRA. They definitely try to push it to the max at all times. El Presidente giving me a look there that says, "You are one crazy fellow there, sir." Jaden Harrison, a 156.4 as the first driver to complete a flying lap, with Mark Anthony Eaton coming across the line just behind, 2:10 slower. Raven Plummer on a 157.0, so she has a couple of tenths to find to be in the mix. Rohei Robinson throwing down the gauntlet early, the first driver into the 55, so let's see if that trend continues through the qualifying session. Joshua Brady is going to be the next driver to get to the line on a 158.5. Kimani Eastman will follow suit on a 158.2, so 3/10 quicker than Brady there, and those are the only 6 drivers to have completed a flying lap so far. And I don't think we'll be seeing Ferreira in this quali session, as he does have a quali ban for the race here this evening, having been involved in some incidents on the last time around. But Jaden Harrison through sector 1 has done slightly better than Rohei Robinson in his sector 2 time there, coming through just a little bit off the pace. So right now Jaden Harrison seems to be on pace to match Rohei Robinson if he can keep it clean through the final few corners here, going through the last turn of turn 17 and on the run down to the start finish line. When he comes across, what will it be? The line there out at the pit exit, crosses the line now and goes 2/10 quicker than Rohei Robinson, and that is gauntlet thrown here by Jaden Harrison. Provisional pole with 8.5 minutes to go. Let's see if there's more time to be found out there by some of these drivers. Eastman on a better lap for him at the moment, currently up through 2 sectors, heading towards the line now, going through the final corner there, turn 17. And when he gets to the line, it will be an improvement, but I don't think close enough to match Raven Plummer. There he is, a 157.6, my apologies, I'm struggling with reading at the moment. But yeah, Kimani Eastman getting into the 157s, however, still about 6/10 away from Raven Plummer up ahead, not quite close enough to trouble the front 4 at the moment. But Jaden Harrison right now, a man on a mission. Maybe he heard my taunts in the commentary box about not being able to get into the 54s, and maybe that's what El Presidente's look was implying, because Jaden Harrison 2/10 up in the first sector alone, and as he's about to get to the end of sector 2, let's see if he is able to match or better his previous best as he comes to the end of sector 2 there now, and he is once again up in sector 2, fastest of all in sector 1, fastest of all in sector 2. Just a few corners to go. Can he keep it all together and give us what is shaping up to be a brilliant lap at the moment? Through the final corner there, looks pretty good, getting a decent line back on the power fairly early, and is now blasting down the start finish straight, quote unquote. It's not entirely straight, but it is flat the whole way down across the line, and does better himself in the final sector. So Jaden Harrison with a lap there, and I think we're going to see Jaden Harrison retire to the pits as I don't think he believes that lap will be matched by any of these drivers at the moment. Nobody showing any signs of improvement. Raven Plummer did look to be on an improving lap the last time around, but not able to get any closer to the front three. Mark Anthony Eaton still trying to find some pace there. Did do a better final sector, but the first two sectors nothing to write home about. And in this, the finale of the final round here of the North American Tour, the top three drivers from this particular series have the chance to be promoted to their silver driving license at the JSRA. All of these drivers currently bronze drivers, with the exception of Jaden Harrison and Jaden Raven and Rohe are already up to their silver licenses. So at current, in the championship standings for the North American Tour, Jaden leads at 65 points from Rohe Robinson at 53. Mark Anthony Eaton at 52.5 points. Looks to be on here to be the next driver to secure a silver license. Raven Plummer on 43 points could get into the mix, and Tim Stahl down in fifth, 42 points, also has a shout at that possibility, but Tim Stahl is not present here this evening, and a rogue Kurt Moss has appeared in the race server here. We will see what Kurt Moss can do to mix up the order at the top of the field. We know Moss is not a driver to scoff at on any particular circuit, but at the moment everybody is trying to chase down that blistering lap from Mr. Jaden Harrison at 1:55.4, and already we're down into the low 55s, so we will see if anybody can challenge. Raven Plummer currently doing a personal best in the first sector, but is 5/10 down on the overall best time, and there she goes through turn 12 on the run down the long back straight. Is there any more time on the table for Raven Plummer? We have just about 3.5 minutes here in the quali session, and I believe also behind Kurt Moss has started a flying lap, so we will tune in to him shortly hereafter to see what that's looking like when Raven gets to the line. And currently not quite finding the improvement there, and through the final few corners, does she have any more time to be found here in the final section of the track? Last corner, trying to get back on the power as early as possible, carry as much speed through there for the long run down the start finish straight. And what's it gonna be here for Raven Plummer? Is there any improvement in it? Back to the line, and she does improve, but still not close enough to Mark Anthony Eaton, who is also on an improving lap at the moment. Can Mark get it right? He is rounding the final corner, and I believe that is Kurt Moss up ahead. So we will see what both of these drivers have done simultaneously. Kurt Moss should be crossing the line there. A 1:56.8 matches Raven Plummer, and Eaton improves slightly on a 1:56.5, so finding about a tenth and change there. Mark Anthony Eaton to kind of give himself a little bit of breathing room to the likes of Moss and Plummer behind. Moss there putting together a lap to try and improve. Raven is on another flyer and has found some more improvement in sector 1. Still a bit adrift of the top drivers at the moment, so not quite finding the time, and this is where it seems that She is losing out to the drivers ahead by some margin. Can she put it together on the run down the back straight? The key there being the exit of turn 12. That is where all of the time in sector 2 is gained or lost around that double apex corner of the 11-12 complex. So as she is now completing sector 2, a better sector 2 for Raven Plummer, but is still, I think, a bit adrift of the likes of Eaton, Robinson and Harrison further up the order. But she is improving, maybe to take that fourth spot back from Mr. Massive Kurt Moss. Can she get it done? We have about a minute left in the quali and clearly lost some time there in the final sector. She has abandoned that lap and I don't think she will have time for another. Jaden Harrison at the moment sitting pretty, provisional pole, 3/10 clear of Rohey Robinson, and he will not be doing another lap. So it is all the pressure on the likes of Robinson and Eaton to try and get ahead of the man on provisional pole, Jaden Harrison, who has done a lap that is quite difficult to fathom at the moment. Kurt Moss there improving ever so slightly to get a bit closer to the likes of Eaton ahead at just about a 10th and changer in it, and Eaton has abandoned his attempt. So right now the drivers that can shake the order up, the likes of Moss and Robinson not on a great lap though, down in sector 1, down in sector 2. Is there anything left on the table for Rohey Robinson to find here? He would need a blistering final sector to even attempt to trouble the likes of Harrison at the top of the timing sheet. So as he is now rounding the final corner, he has also abandoned that lap, realizing that too much time has been lost. Moss also not a great first sector. He is now on the run down to 11-12. So let's see if Moss has some more time out there and runs it wide, and I think that's gonna be it there for Kurt Moss. Likely to have abandoned that lap, and that just leaves Josh O'Brady, who has managed to get ahead of Eastman and has also pulled back into the pit. So those final laps not quite coming together for these drivers, and that sees Jaden Harrison on pole position. He threw that gauntlet down early and nobody was able to match Rohey Robinson, giving us a good shout, trying to get close, but it was still a good 3/10 of a second adrift of Harrison. So not quite the day for Rohey Robinson to challenge at the top of the pack, but we will certainly see. Quali is one thing, you have a free track and you can go there and be as fast as you want, but come race time, it's not just about speed, it's about consistency and your racecraft on a whole. So as we gear up to head into the first race of the evening, we will take another short break and be back with you for the lights out on the first race of the evening. See the most exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. See the most exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. Seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. Seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the drivers lining up on the grid for the first race of the evening. And once again, this will be a rolling start. So the drivers will have to allow the safety car to take the lead of the field and take us on a formation lap. That's going to be a very long formation lap around the likes of VIR. This track is quite long, 5.23 kilometers, and that's going to be quite the lap before we get back to green flag racing conditions here for the first 20-minute race of the evening. So looking at the field, I am watching that battle for P3 with Eaton, Moss and Plummer all being within a couple of tenths of each other, and then Harrison and Robinson also being about 3 tenths apart could provide us a little bit of racing action. And I am looking at the likes of Eastman and Brady, who seem to have traded times all throughout that qualifying session. That we are going to have the tale of 3 battles on the field, so let's see how that goes. And once again, remember that these drivers have the push to pass feature available to them in order to aid their battles, so we will keep an eye on the strategic uses of those push to passes in the attack and defense that these drivers are going to display. So we're about to get the lights going out for the safety car to take the field on the formation lap, and then we will go green flag racing at the end of that safety car lap. And as there goes the safety car driven by El Presidente to the front of the field, the drivers peeling off just behind. We are getting another look at our newly designed safety car, the Porsche 911, and the car currently in use with the black livery instead of the quote-unquote virus livery that has previously been shown on JSRA Saturdays. That livery looking quite pretty, I think. That Porsche looking very, very good. Shouts out to our sponsors at Ceramic Hair. You see their logos there on the front of the safety car, and you know that Porsche gleaming like it has just received a fresh ceramic coat to protect it from the elements. around the track like VIR. But again, we are on the formation lap here. You see the drivers trying to get a little bit of heat in the tires. We're looking at the grid, and it seems that there has become a trend here in the CTCC series. The only 3 cars that seem to be used are the I think Kurt Moss there has made a mistake and has utilized one of his push to passes on the formation lap, and that could be a costly mistake from Kurt Moss there. Not quite sure if that was with intent or if he just accidentally touched the button, maybe trying to determine whether or not he had that feature mapped and ended up using it. But there goes the safety car pulling away from the field as we are now on the back straight about to enter Sector 3. The safety car will disappear, and El Presidente having fun down that straight, I think, blasting down the back straight there, unleashing the horsepower in that Porsche, and he will be pulling back into the pit. So we turn our eyes back to the grid, currently lined up in double file on the back straight as we are entering, well, we have entered the final sector. So the drivers now keeping it 2x2 going through the final sector, and that's gonna prove a little bit tricky here in the last few corners, as these corners are very tight. And so you see the grid there kind of falling out of formation. The drivers at this point in time have a speed limit of 81 kilometers per hour and have to hold that all the way back to green flags. You will see the speed limit pop up in a few moments time with the safety car light, and or perhaps not, because normally we'd have gotten it by this time. Maybe there's a glitch there with the light sequencing, but the drivers, oh no, there it comes now. The 80 kilometer speed limit on display, the drivers have to hold that speed. We get the red light, and all we are waiting for now is that light right there, the green light, and we are away. Jaden Harrison getting away quite nicely there from Roger Robinson. Will have the inside line up to turn 1, and I think that's advantage Jaden already. We are watching now for Moss up the inside there, trying to get ahead of Eaton and still keeping just about a nose in the fight, but may have opened the door for even Plummer there to try and stick a nose in, and Plummer seems to maybe have lost a position to Joshua Brady, and Brady now fighting with Eaton, it seems. Kurt Moss having gotten ahead of Mark Anthony Eaton. Eaton trying to stay ahead of Brady. Brady there being very brave through the final few turns in Sector 1, trying to hang it around the outside, and looks to still be pressing with Mark Anthony Eaton, the two side by side heading up the hill. And I was gonna say the straight up the hill, but it's not really a straight. However, you are flat the whole way through, but Brady will eventually have to back out and concede that position to Mark Anthony Eaton, and Moss up ahead is putting a bit of pressure on Rohey Robinson, and Kurt Moss seeming to have come alive in this race. Brady also behind, still putting some pressure on Eaton. Robinson seeming to have to defend from Moss there, moving around a bit on the straight to make sure that Moss does not enjoy too much of a good time in that slipstream. And Moss still right there with him, steps out of the slipstream on the run down the hill. Is Kurt Moss going to try and move here? This is not the section of the racetrack to do that. Moss having to abandon that move and just tuck back into the slipstream through the final few corners. When we get back onto the start-finish straight, we will see if Moss has it in him to take the fight to Roger Robinson ahead. And Roger Robinson, sensing the danger, immediately utilizing a push to pass to try and put a little bit of distance between himself and Kurt Moss. Joshua Brady now seeming to revert to his expected pace and is coming under threat from Raven Plummer, just about 3.5 tenths behind, the gap opening up there to just about 5 tenths in the braking zone. But it is a dynamic gap, so it changes as quickly as the drivers move, and it seems as though Raven Plummer was dropping away from him a bit there, but has now gotten very, very close through the end of sector 1 there, and as they are now heading back on to the roller coaster section of the racetrack. That is not a description, that is actually what it is called. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong section for roller coaster. Yeah, no, the run up the hill, the very windy, straight, quote unquote, Raven Plummer right there with Joshua Brady, the gap just about 0.2 of a second, and Raven is putting the pressure on Brady. Brady, to his credit, has not quite folded under the pressure and is defending quite nicely, I think, positioning that car very well through turns 11 and 12 there. And as we are now on the run down the back straight, let's see if Raven can manage to get ahead here, and she is doing so without the use of push to pass, but she is ahead. They are still side by side, but she has a nose ahead of Joshua Brady, and Joshua Brady gonna concede that position and just tuck back into the slipstream. Eric Ferrero right behind the entirety of this group from Raven down, Brady and Eastman just behind that gap, not very, very wide, and Moss up ahead is still putting a bit of pressure on Rohei Robinson, trying to get into the mix for the top spot. At the moment, the times looking quite close. Jaden Harrison a 156.0, Robinson behind a 156.6, and Moss just behind a 56.5, and some chaos there just behind. Joshua Brady losing out, maybe not quite getting it right in the braking zone, and that allows Eric Ferreira through, but Joshua Brady coming back in the second phase of these corners, getting ahead of that group. This battle here at the back of the pack at the moment is the battle to watch. We have 15-ish minutes of racing action to go, and the first 5 minutes here have been action-packed, and it seems most of the action is going to be focused on this group here. The final 3 positions, Brady, Ferreira, and Eastman all fighting it out, not wanting to be the last driver to cross the line. You know, they're as much as you're not in the fight for the win, you certainly don't want to be the driver in last. So these drivers doing everything in their power to just be ahead of another car. Raven, meanwhile, is disappearing up the road, trying to, ooh, and there's some contact there between Ferreira and Brady, but nothing too catastrophic. All 3 drivers able to continue along. Raven now putting some distance between herself and that group, but I'm not sure if that's her falling away from the likes of Eaton up ahead. It does not look like she's making much headway into that fight. And Brady there defending from Ferreira still. Oh, and there's some more contact there, and that's going to run Brady wide on that corner is the roller coaster. And Brady's going to rejoin in P8. And did Kimani Eastman just have a through goes Eastman moment? Where the 2 drivers fighting allowed Kimani Eastman to gain that position up to P6. Raven Plummer now utilizing her first push to pass, maybe trying to close that gap down to the drivers ahead, but she is not making much headway, so Raven Plummer may have to resign herself to P5 at the moment. Mark Anthony Eaton, the driver in 4th, looking to earn his silver license at the moment, is only behind those drivers who have already earned their silver licenses. So Eaton sitting in a good position right now to be the next driver to earn his silver license here at the JSRA. We will keep an eye on his progress throughout the rest of the race. Moss has been sitting very nicely in the slipstream of Rohei Robinson, so Kurt Moss clearly getting his legs underneath him in this car, finding a bit of pace, and is able to put some pressure on Rohei Robinson, who has fallen away from Jaden Harrison by 2.3 seconds so far. And I think Moss will be looking to capitalize on what seems to be a struggling Roger Robinson at the moment, or maybe a Roger Robinson that is just not on pace with the drivers around him currently. and the three drivers at the back of the pack still locked in their own battle at the moment. Eastman, Brady, and Ferrero, all separated by about 0.5 of a second, give or take. And I did think that we were going to get the battle here with these three drivers running the duration of this race. So far it has been mostly clean racing, a bit of contact here and there, but nothing to write home about at the moment. Joshua Brady managing to get back past Eric Ferrero after the contact between the two of them, and Brady there doing a bit of gardening, I think, mowing the lawn there, and managing to keep it pointed in the right direction, because running off around this particular racetrack is almost paramount to disaster. It is rather difficult to recover the car once you have run off into that very nice soft grass that looks like it would be quite fun to play a bit of football on, as opposed to driving around a racetrack. But managing to keep it going here. Moss was looking to have put some pressure on Rohey Robinson through sector 1, but on the run up the hill here, he has fallen away just a smidge and is now trying to close that gap back down. He is finding a bit of pace in some sections and runs wide there on the exit of turn 10, and that's going to cost him dearly. He is now about 1.5 seconds adrift, 1.7 seconds adrift really, and Rohey Robinson sees an opportunity, uses a push to pass to further open that gap between himself and Moss. Moss seeing Eaton in his rearview mirrors, Eaton gaining a heap of time there, trying to close the gap to the podium position drivers at the moment, but nothing giving just yet at the moment. Everything still looking quite status quo, except for these three who are still battling it out not to be the last driver across the line. And that fight looks like it's going to run the duration of the race. Joshua Brady managing to get back ahead of Kimani Eastman, and it seems he utilized a push to pass in order to get that move done. And at the moment, Eastman trying to keep with Joshua Brady the gap just about half a second, and these three are going to continue this fight, although Ferrero seems to have fallen away from that battle just a bit, and it is now a two-man fight between Eastman and Brady to be I guess 6th and 7th is the only way to term that. I was gonna say to be the driver not second to last, but I think we're getting a little bit convoluted now with that particular narrative. So at the moment, these two drivers fighting for P6. Let's see who manages to come out on top. Everybody else maintaining a healthy gap to their rivals. Robinson about 3 seconds adrift of race leader Jaden Harrison, who has just driven away from the start and does not seem to have anybody to challenge him at the moment. Moss behind 2.2 seconds after making that mistake, falling out of the slipstream of Rohey Robinson ahead. But Kimani Eastman at the moment trying to make a move on Joshua Brady. Eastman seeming to have found some pace here, trying to get ahead of Brady, and not quite gonna be close enough to do it. He is gaining here down the back straight, but I'm not sure he's gaining enough to try and take that fight. And Brady sitting on 2 extra push to passes over his rivals behind to defend from those drivers. So at the moment, Brady sitting in 6th position, and it seems that the fight is on for that particular position. Okay, so we have at this point in time, whilst we have a bit of a lull in the action, El Presidente will be joining us to give us his thoughts on the action we have been treated to so far. El Presidente, you there?
Well, good evening, Mr. Dillon. As always, thank you for having me over here in the commentary booth. What a race we've been having. It is the finale for the CTCCs. Yeah, no, it's pretty interesting from the back, I can say. We do notice Jaden pulling or let me say, Jaden and Rohe pulling or let me say, Jaden, Rohe and Kurt and Mark pulling a Mercedes 2020-2019. Just pulling away from the pack and kind of enjoying themselves up front, and then all of the action being at the back. So a lot has been happening, though. I've been watching that battle between Mr. Eastman and Joshua, as Mr. Eastman is on the rear right fender of Mr. Brady, going into the final sector, and the switcheroo.
Joshua Brady there showing us a bit of racecraft. Eastman may have thought he had that move done, diving down the inside and not making it stick.
As my friend Mr. Brady would say, "You're." I don't know what that means, bro. So if I just cursed on live television, please excuse my language. But that being said, this battle has been fun to watch between the three of them, because it's just been exchanging places around the corner. So even though the battle up front isn't as hot as we would have hoped, the battle for because if you do remember, Joshua Kimani and Eric are fighting for that final promotion point in the CTCC to silver. So it is still pretty exciting to watch them kind of fight it out, in the ending stages of the race one.
Absolutely, and the drivers up ahead, Harrison, Robinson, and Moss, all have already been promoted to their silver licenses. But for the fans that may not understand El Presidente, we will ask you at this time to give a brief explanation of the entirety of the license system. One, the reason we're doing that this year, and two, how the licensing system works at current for those who may be interested in getting involved. Eastman there getting it wrong at turn 12 and sees himself demoted to last place and will now have to get back in the fight, maybe pushing a bit too hard to get at Joshua Brady, who has been fending him off ever so nicely up to this point. But yes, El Presidente, give us the rundown of the license system here at the JSRA.
Definitely, but I should say that Jaden, Rohe, Kurt, as well as Miss Tomo are all silver drivers currently. So it is Mark, Joshua, Eric, and Kimani who are fighting for the final two positions. However, Kimani and Eric are their closest two competitors. So, Eric getting a position on Kimani might just promote him to the position for second in their class, in the bronze class. But that being said, we have implemented a new licensing system where basically we're just trying to clean up the racing, especially in our main series. Something at the JSR that we've always prided ourselves in is the ability to provide clean but hard racing. So we like to incentivize drivers. We like to make it as fun as possible. And in my very honest opinion, nobody likes to race, put in the hard work, and be crashed out every race or every other race without any form of penalties. So we have implemented a licensing system as well as a licensure system. So it's as simple as this. With bronze class, we do offer persons to join the Caribbean Touring class championship, in which they will be put in the qualifying stage, where they would basically aim for the best, one, have the cleanest race that they can possibly have, and two, stay within a certain pace range of the leading drivers. So there is the rule of 7 seconds, where we just ask you at the end of the race, if your average lap is within 7 seconds of the lead car, then it's as simple as that. You'll gain your first official bronze license. After that, now to be promoted, we do promote to silver through the Caribbean Touring Cars as well, where we ask you to place top 3 in your class. So once you have gotten your first license, you are officially a bronze licensed driver. Once you're a bronze licensed driver, you will be fighting it out in the Caribbean Touring Car Championship, in which every month we have a different tour. So, as you know, we started with the Caribbean Tour, and we are now coming to the conclusion of the North American Tour. Next season, we are looking at the Australian Tour, as we will be taking a break next week. So we will be starting the week after. But yeah, that being said, you just need to place top 3 in your class once you have your bronze license, and it's as simple as that. Gaining your silver JSRA RTTO license to be promoted now to gold is really one, and it comes with many tiers and incentives. However, the main incentive is the fact that you will be able to represent your country, Jamaica, on the global and international stage. I am noticing Eric putting a little pressure there on Joshua while I have been babbling for the past few minutes. But yeah, we can keep a closer eye on that as I just finalize that. The gold promotion does require you to place top 3 in the chase for pace in any 3 of our tours. So that is, let's say, the TCR, the Porsche Cup, or whatever else we are going to have in the future, the Radicals, Praga, Multiclass, etc. But yes, all of our rules and regulations can be found in our Discord. So if there is anybody who is interested, as Eric does use the push to pass to get past Mr. Joshua Brady for that P6 in the championship, as the leader will be. Has he passed the line? He has already passed the line. So now 2 laps to go. Eric is the only one of that trio with a remaining push to pass that I'm sure he'll be glad to use in a defense against Mr. Brady, who will be hounding him, as well as Mr. Eastman, who has closed that gap back down to 4 tenths to Joshua Brady.
Absolutely, and yeah, we will be watching this battle towards the conclusion of the race. Currently, Eric Ferrero sitting in P6 and will be the driver that is likely to earn his silver license here this afternoon. And ladies and gentlemen, that silver license not easy to learn, must still await upon mine, and boy, it roughing on the streets. But
I will apologize for that one, Mr. Dillon. I have placed in the commentary box.
But yeah, no, here is Joshua Brady taking that position back, and Eastman looking to pick up the scraps of that battle. Not quite close enough though. For these 3 are heating up. I think this will be, or there'll be 1 lap to go at the conclusion of this lap, as I think the leaders crossed before time elapsed. So I think we have 1 lap to go here. These 3 giving it everything. We are in, as we have dubbed it, the desperation zone, and you can see that the desperation zone is active. These drivers giving it everything to try and be the one that comes out in front. Ferreira currently leading the pack, and Eastman is pushing to try and get into that fight right now, sitting next to Joshua Brady, the 2 neck and neck going down the back straight here. And who will get to the braking zone for turn 15 first? Let's see who it is. Kimani Eastman looks to be just ahead, and can he nail the braking here going into the roller coaster? And the 2 make a bit of contact. Kimani Eastman coming out worse for wear. I think that was a little bit cheeky by Joshua Brady there. Looks to have squeezed Eastman just a bit, and keeping Kimani Eastman there firmly in his rearview mirrors. The fight between these 2 has dropped them away from Ferrero just a touch. They're not quite out of range, but he has pulled almost a second gap over those 2 drivers. So right now, Eric Ferrero sitting in the quote-unquote driver's seat to be the next driver promoted in the JSRA to the silver license. Eaton currently in P4 will also be earning his silver license here this evening. And
at the end of it, I mean, Kimani should still be in position to have that final position in the promotion seat because Joshua did miss the first two rounds. So sadly, he might very. I think he is out of contention. However, him fighting did kind of put a little energy in the mix, let's say, because it is the top three from the class that will be promoted. So they are all quite comfortable in their positions. However, it should be known, and I guess we'll announce it now, Mr. Dillon, that uh, at the start of the next season, we will have something somewhat of a success ballast for the silver class drivers. So I'm sure they're not too excited as Jaden is coming around to finish the race in P1, finishing all of his push to passes on the final lap. I'm assuming this is going to be the fastest lap of the race with a 55.2, using literally three of his push to pass units on the last lap. Very fun, very exciting to see. Good race from Jaden Harrison. I will jump back over to the drivers to kind of get them. Is Jaden out of gas?
Well, that is the place to run out as he has crossed the line. We see Raven Plummer there coming across the line in P5. El Presidente has gone to shepherd the drivers in preparation for the reverse grid. So we have another race coming your way, and the second race is normally more action packed than the first race. Eric Ferreira finishing ahead of Joshua Brady and Kimani Eastman. Those three bringing the action for most of the first race of the evening. But as mentioned, the second race will be the race that gives us most of the action here, as the drivers will be in reversed order. Eastman will start from P1 with Brady alongside him. Ferrero and Plummer will be on the second row. Eaton and Moss will start on the third row, and Jaden Harrison will start in last, just behind Rohei Robinson. So we do have more action coming your way here this evening as these drivers get ready to go racing once again. So whilst the grid is being prepared, we will take another short break before we get going again for the final time this evening. We'll be right back.
See the most exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. See the most exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. See the most exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. Seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the start of the reverse grid. You see there Kimani Eastman lining up on pole position here to get us started as the lead car. We do have the formation lap before we get to racing conditions, so the safety car will once again take us on a formation lap before we get going racing here for the final time this evening, and it is promising to be an action-packed one, as the drivers at the back showing that they do have the pace advantage will be working to make their way through the other drivers up ahead. The likes of Harrison, Robinson and Moss will be trying to fight to get ahead of their competitors. This is a chance for drivers like Raven Plummer and Mark Anthony Eaton. Raven had the loneliest of races in race number 1, sitting down there in P5 behind the front 4 that were just a little bit out of reach of her pace, and this is her chance to maybe get ahead of the 3 drivers up ahead who she also had enjoyed a pace advantage over. So maybe if she can get ahead in the early stages of this one, she can manage to hold on for a podium position here in the second race of the evening. There goes the safety car leading the field, and Eastman will get going with the drivers. So we will see if any of these drivers can hold on to stop the what's going to be a charging pack with the likes of Moss, Robinson and Harrison from the back of the field to try and get back to the top of the pecking order. We will have the answers to those questions and more by the time we get back to the start finish line, so let's stay tuned for what's coming here in the second race of the evening. Once again on the formation lap here, our brilliantly designed Porsche safety car, designed the livery designed by our in-house graphics designers here at the JSRA, who do brilliant work. So if you do want your own custom livery for any of your racing action but lack the skills and know-how to do it yourself, definitely check us out here at the JSRA. We have some gifted graphic designers that could give you a livery for your own competition. And once again, we would like to say thank you to our sponsors over at Ceramic Hair, who are our first gold tier sponsor here at the JSRA in our second year of operation. We are still in the market for more sponsors, so if you are looking to support the action you have witnessed, we can be reached through any of our social medias for a discussion around potential sponsorships. However, we are about to get going again for the final time this evening. The drive was now being led by Kimani Eastman, who should be holding the pace of the field here going through the final few corners. We will get the speed limit notification in a bit from now. Joshua Brady, seeming to be eager to go racing, stays a little ahead of Eastman there, but I'm sure they will bunch themselves up in the correct order as we get back onto the start finish straight, and the drivers should be getting their notification anytime now to hold their speed at 80 kilometers per hour, and that will be, there's the red light, and we are gonna get green light racing just about now, and away they go. Joshua Brady looking to get the jump on Eastman there. The two are neck and neck down the start finish straight. Eastman does have the better line into the first corner, being on the inside, and Brady trying to defend there from, I believe that is Raven Plummer, sweeping around the outside to get herself up into P2, and it is advantage Raven here in the early stages. Raven Plummer trying to put some cars between herself and the rest of the pack to maybe give her a chance at a podium position, whilst the drivers behind have to fight. And that is, I believe that was Ferreira getting it very, very wrong. And I see Harrison tumbling down the order as well. It seems there may have been some contact between himself and Ferreira there, those two drivers losing out. I believe a safety car was called, it seems, to get the pack back together following that incident there. And we will have a couple of sectors to go before we get back to green flag conditions. A safety car being called there due to the chaos that ensued following a small mistake from Eric Ferreira that saw his car go slightly out of control, and he collected a driver or two with him in that particular exchange. So these drivers will have to get themselves recomposed to go racing again. Raven Plummer with the advantage here. None of her rivals seem to have moved up too many positions. Eaton gaining one position following the mistake by Ferreira. And have we gone here down the back straight? Is that what has happened? It seems Raven Plummer was given the go ahead to go racing here down the back straight, and she has gone when she saw fit and has pulled a small margin there over the rivals around her. And the drivers getting ahead of themselves. Is that Mark Anthony Eaton going off at the roller coaster chicane? Yes, it is. Eaton losing out there, as is Robinson. Harrison up to P5, Moss to P4, and already we are seeing the shuffling of the order. Always more action-packed the second race, but it's not always good action, as we see here. Raven Plummer extending quite the gap over Joshua Brady here at the completion of the second lap of racing, the first lap of racing action, my apologies. Raven Plummer with a 1.2 second advantage, and that is Moss in the rear view mirrors of Kimani Eastman. Moss looking to take that position off of Kimani as urgently as possible to take the fight up to the drivers ahead. Moss sneaking around the outside there. Harrison following him through, making sure that his rivals don't get too far away from him. And already the action unfolding here. Eastman losing 2 positions in 1 corner, and the fight wages on. Eaton there catching up to the back of the pack, already on the rear wing of Eric Ferreira. Can he make something happen here? Needs to undo some of the damage already done to his race at right now. Eaton looking at damage limitation for the remainder of the evening. And is that Jaden Harrison running wide there at turn 10, the exit of turn 10, pushing to try and catch the rivals up ahead? Eastman and Robinson there exchanging positions. Robinson getting ahead to stay within reach of his rivals as well. Not quite staying ahead though. Eastman getting a better drive down the start finish straight, and all of these rivals utilizing their push to pass to try and defend or attack the drivers around them. Robinson pulls out of the slipstream, will be on the inside there heading towards Roller Coaster. Can he make the move around the outside on Eastman? Seems to have it done, gets back on the power and finds himself ahead of Eastman, but 2 seconds away from Harrison and Moss up ahead, who are taking the fight to the likes of Brady. Moss and Harrison getting ahead. Did Brady give up that position? And there is some contact in the background there. Not sure if that was that Harrison making some contact with the wall, not quite keeping it together, and Jaden Harrison tumbles down. Roger Robinson in all of this has found himself in P2. I think Moss also was involved in that incident, and Kurt Moss has gone back to the pits. That will be the end of his race here this evening, and just like that, Roger Robinson sees himself up into P2, 4.5 seconds behind Raven Plummer, who has disappeared off into the distance. So Raven trying to have herself another lonely race here, but this time from the front of the field instead of in the middle of the pack. And right now looking good for Raven Plummer, but she will have to be checking her mirrors and the pace of Roger Robinson behind, who could get into that fight. Harrison again trying to make a move there, and is that Eric Ferreira ahead? Yes, it is. Eaton just behind Harrison as well. Those two, no strangers to racing each other, and we've in the past seen them play a bit of a team game in this particular series, maybe trying to fend off the competition. But this grid mostly Jamaican, so I'm not sure how friendly they're going to be this time around. But Jaden Harrison at the moment trying to get the move done on Eric Ferreira, is ahead on the back straight and will likely get ahead before we get into the braking zone. Eaton looking to follow him through as well, but Eaton may not be close enough to get that move done into the braking zone for Roller Coaster, so Eaton will have to try and get it done elsewhere. Jaden Harrison now up to P4. Brady still in P3, managing to stay ahead, and you see the pace difference from Roger Robinson closing to Raven Plummer, almost a second or a little over a second in that lap alone. Roger Robinson, a man on a mission, trying to close down the rivals around. Joshua Brady, meanwhile, is trying to defend like there's no tomorrow from the rivals around him, but Jaden Harrison just ahead there into the braking zone for turn 1. Can he stay ahead here, trying to sweep around the outside? The outside will become the inside for turn 3, and Jaden Harrison should have that move done. There's Mark Anthony Eaton waiting to collect on the remnants of that battle, but doesn't quite make it happen. Joshua Brady managing to stay just ahead of Mark Anthony Eaton, but I'm sure Eaton will be looking to come back at him on the run up the hill here. Mark Anthony Eaton sitting very nicely in that slipstream, looking to make that move happen, and the two are side by side heading up the hill. Who is going to have the better line on the run up the hill? It looks like Eaton's going to have the advantage here, and Eaton gets ahead of Joshua Brady, utilizing a push to pass there for good measure, making sure he gets ahead. Mark Anthony Eaton trying to secure his place above the slower on the grid, and we are back to status quo almost. Raven Plummer leading with Roger Robinson, Jaden Harrison, and Eaton just behind. Joshua Brady and Ferreira will pick up where they left off in the previous race. Ferreira giving chase to Brady, just about 0.3 of a second in it. We will keep an eye on this battle as we are watching for the rivals up ahead. Roger Robinson closing about another second on this lap to Raven Plummer in the lead. So at this pace, in about 2 laps, we can have a look at Roger Robinson to try and make a move on the leader, Raven Plummer. But Raven Plummer playing this one a little bit strategic, holding on to all 5 of her push to passes, whilst all the rivals around her.
Sorry, no, I just had to butt it. I'm just saying 5 push to pass. That's crazy. So she's just waiting and anticipating Mr. Robinson and Mr. Harrison to come into the battle.
Absolutely.
And just have her defense fully ready and set, as Mr. Robinson is now down to only 1. And as we're all in racing know, it's one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass, and it's another thing to pass with 5 extra push to passes available to you. So yeah, no, just here for support if you need me.
Appreciate appreciate it, El Presidente. But yeah, no, we are gonna be treated to a battle of the ages as Eastman right now is trying to make a move on Eric Ferrero. Eric Ferrero seeming to have made a mistake there that dropped him off of the back of Joshua Brady and into the clutches of Kimani Eastman. So we will see if Eastman can get it done up the hill here. Eric Ferrero placing that car very nicely, not allowing too much room for Eastman. Eastman there cutting the inside curb, trying to gain just a little bit of advantage there on the runs down to 11-12 complex, but not quite gonna get that move done. Harrison also utilizing a push to pass there, trying to close the gap through a Hay Robinson ahead, but here we are now coming down the back straight, and Robinson is just about in position to start his offensive tactics on Miss Raven Plummer, who is still in the lead of this race despite the overwhelming pace advantage enjoyed by some of the drivers behind. So here we are now heading back onto the start from the straight. The gap just about half a second. Will this be the first time she uses a push to pass? Does she think Robinson is close enough to trouble her? At the moment, it does not seem that she is concerned. Let's see what the defense is going to look like. 1.1 seconds on that lap, Robinson over Plummer. But
Did you notice the fastest lap of the race? Set by Mr. Harrison at 155.229, setting matching his fastest lap of the first race, where he used 3 push to passes in 1 lap. Jake Harrison is definitely on a tear. So what we need to look for now is, will Raven, with her 5 extra push to passes, be able to hold up both Rohe, as he is already going for a lunge, going up the, what would you call this, the S's or the triple S's?
Indeed.
Double S's, whatever you want to call it, and makes the move.
No, Plummer with the inside line. Well, no, Roger's going to have the inside line. Can Plummer fight it back? Roger running a little bit wide there and giving the position back to Raven Plummer. No, but manages to stay ahead in all of that. Raven still not using the push to passes. Finally uses one.
When she noticed a very dark Corolla in the background, who also used his push to pass with 7 minutes to go. Is this the right timing, Mr. Dillon? As we even noticed Mr. Eaton using his own and having one more, trying to catch up to the pack. This is going to be very, very interesting leading up to the end of the final minutes of this race.
And a little bit of contact there between Harrison and Robinson, and that puts Plummer back in the lead of this one. Harrison there getting a little too excited, trying to stay ahead, and Robinson gets a penalty out of all of that for exceeding track limits. That unfolded quite horrendously there in that particular moment. So now the next driver to watch is Mark Anthony Eaton there in P3, who will likely be the next driver to close up to Raven Plummer. Currently just about 3 seconds adrift. Rohe Robinson still in the mix, but will have a drive-through penalty to serve before the end of this race. This one unraveled rather quickly. It was looking so promising for a few moments, but Raven Plummer seems to have the luck of the Irish on her side at times. And in this second race, that luck showing itself once again. Raven Plummer back up into P1 with a 3-second advantage over Eaton. And I don't think Eaton's pace advantage is such that it was similar to the likes of Harrison and Robinson, who were enjoying almost a second a lap. Actually, in the case of Rohe Robinson, more than a second a lap over Raven Plummer. So Eaton will have a little bit more work to do, and he only has 1 push to pass left. So Raven Plummer looking to be in the driver's seat at the moment to take the victory here in the second race. El Presidente, your thoughts?
I'm sorry, but does commentators curse work from your mind? Because leading up to that all I'm saying to myself is, oh God, look at the rivals, look at what they're about to do. And we know that history meeting each other. We've seen it at Passport, we've seen it at Barbo. Every single race, these two seem to find each other. The two Cinderella blocks themselves. Um, yeah, unfortunate. Rohe there being the affected the most, receiving a drive-through for cutting. Um, very unfortunate. We know that that's just a result of him going off track, but that, I mean, you do get 5 warnings. So
I'm saying.
we did see a tear of him trying to get back up to Miss Plummer ahead, in which I think he only has 3 laps to take this penalty. So I guess we will see him coming in at the end of this. So that might be the detriment of his or the end of his race now, because the pack is relatively still close, very very close. Only a couple seconds between first and seventh.
Absolutely. Yeah, Rohe Robinson will likely rejoin at the back of the pack with not much time to do anything about it. So we will see how that unfolds for him. Maybe trying to extend over his rivals. Is currently challenging Raven for the lead of the race once again. Rohe Robinson right in the slipstream heading up the hill. And will he get that move done once again to maybe extend just a little bit further, as Jaden Harrison in the background getting by Joshua Brady, trying to get back into contention after that mistake cost him a few positions there. Rohe maybe gaining the most time on the run down the straight, so we will see if that pace advantage. Raven Plummer still sitting on the 4 push to passes. Not sure what she's waiting on, because at this point there aren't enough laps that she'll need 4 push to passes to complete.
She's going for 54. She's going to unleash every single one of those on the final lap when there's no fuel in the car and nobody there around to bother her. At this point, I'm actually surprised she's not just letting Rohit through, because again, he has to serve that penalty, and if not, he will be receiving a penalty at the end of the race. So he's really in
a non-factor.
Is he still not going in? Interesting. Well, again, at this point,
maybe trying to use Rohe here as a pace advantage, but Roger once again almost that's half a second quicker on that lap, and is gonna look to sweep around the outside, but is a little wide there, and this is hurting Roger more than it's helping at this point. Yes, he's closed up to the leader, but the leader is not on the same pace as you, so sitting behind her isn't actually helping the race when you have to serve a penalty and will rejoin at the back of this pack. So Roger maybe not playing this one as smartly as you would expect.
A bump draft on the straight, on the start finish straight. Is he quote unquote helping Raven, who is using her second push to pass? I don't know. He is the one that recruited her to the JSRA. So maybe, thank you. I know my races are done, so here, I'm gonna help you out until I'm disqualified. Could that be the case?
I mean, there's a theory. I'm not sure if that is actually what's happening, but yeah, no, it would almost seem that way. Maybe just trying to push her along to keep her ahead of Eaton, who is charging behind. Jaden Harrison seems to have suffered an error there, falling all the way down to P7 after getting by Joshua Brady. So not quite the second race that he was anticipating here at the Virginia International Raceway. Just falling away, and Rohe still not making the move on Raven Plummer, so really maybe is just trying to push her along, because given the pace advantage we have seen at almost a second a lap, I'm sure he would have found an opportunity to make that move by now. So Rohe Robinson just seeming to push his teammate, well, I say teammate, oh, there he goes into the pits now to serve that penalty, at unleashing Eaton into P2. And what is the gap? It looks like it's under 2 seconds. No, it's 3.2 seconds. So Eaton not quite, maybe won't even be close enough by the end of the race to make anything happen. Rohe Robinson will likely rejoin, maybe ahead of Jaden Harrison there.
Jaden Harrison, who is his closest competitor in the I was going to say constructors, but the driver championship for the Caribbean. Disqualified for drive-through not taken. Not sure what happened there, as we did notice it just said he took his drive-through, but I'm guessing that's a server issue. hopefully we can rectify that at the end of the race.
Well, yeah, he hasn't been sent back to the pit, so I think he should be okay. Normally, when you get disqualified, you're immediately thrown back into the pits, but because he served it on the last lap, there might have been a message from the servo recognizing him having crossed the start-finish line before the penalty was served, as he would have still been in the pits when he crossed the line. So could just be one of those things, but at the moment still leading, still in the race and continuing on.
Well, luckily we still have that little fight between Joshua Kimani and Eric, who, 2 laps to go, put on a show in the first race. The gap isn't as closely as we'd have liked or as was earlier, but happy for Joshua. I think this is his first podium with the JSRA in the Caribbean Touring Car Championship. So awesome to see. Well done. A very exciting race for him in particular, with him and Kimani and Eric in both the races, kind of just reversing the finish order of the first race between those three, with the exception of Kimani.
Yeah, well, Kimani holding on here from Pereira so far, staying just ahead, the gap about a second at the moment. So still managing to come across the line in a respectable position. Brady there, I'm hoping El Presidente did not jinx him, and Roger Robinson has gone back to the pits now, so maybe the servo actually has disqualified him, which is a bit unfortunate because he did serve that penalty, albeit on the final available lap to serve it.
I think that's what happened. I think he did go 1 lap over, because I believe it is 2 before you're disqualified. So if it does register you on the 3rd lap that you know whether you're in the pits or not, it may just give you that final penalty. As we do notice, Raven is going for the fastest lap, using all 3 of her push to passes as we expected, pulling almost over a second on this lap on Mark Anthony in P2. So yeah, very interested to see. We did notice the fastest lap being a 55.2 set by Jaden in the early stages of the race. Will she have the pace to beat that? Let's see. It's all up for grabs as the final, the finale of the Caribbean Touring Cars comes to a conclusion. Comes around the last 2 corners to enter onto the start-finish straight. Ooh, goes very wide now, ruining that fastest lap.
And there that goes.
Indefinitely. I do apologize if you do watch this over. It was not me. I mean, it was definitely me, Chad Dillon, your host for the most. But that being said, Raven Plummer comes across the line to finish in P1 with Mark Anthony in P2, Joshua Brady in P3, catching his first podium at the JSRA in the Caribbean Touring Cars with Kimani Eastman, Eric Ferreira, Jaden Harris, all coming behind. But yes, in the meantime, let me just run and get these drivers suited for the park for me.
Absolutely, yeah. No, again, always an action-packed second race, but not always the action that you anticipate, expect, or want. Kurt Moss there, the first victim of the carnage in race number 2. That seems to be a trend. And Roger Robinson also suffering an odd fate, I would say, in the aftermath of that. Jaden Harrison not able to make much positions, but the real winner, and I did say it at the start, so maybe that's commentator's curse in the reverse. So commentator's blessings, I suppose. Raven Plummer seizing the advantage, getting ahead of the slower drivers ahead, and managing to stay ahead for the duration of this race. She did get overtaken by Harrison and Robinson, but those 2 drivers coming together and giving her that position back, so she manages to hold on for the victory over Eaton, who drove a stable race, you know, a very solid pair of hands there. Mark Anthony Eaton, very sure pair of hands, I should say, and brings the car home in P2. Joshua Brady managing to pick up, as El Presidente mentioned, his first podium in the Caribbean Touring Car Championship here at the North American Tour finale. And Kimani Eastman, Mr. P6, upgrading himself to Mr. P4, and comes across the line there in P4. Eric Ferrero losing out in the battle of that particular trio from the first event, and comes across the line in P5. Jaden Harrison, the last running driver to cross the line in P6, having had a torrid go of it in the second race after a dominant first race. So once again, one thing to catch, another thing to pass. That's where it all unravels. The overtaking techniques employed sometimes backfiring if not done in the correct manner. And here we have our top three drivers sitting on the grid, giving you a look at the podium here in the second race. Plummer, Eaton, and Brady. So we will be taking interviews with a few of the drivers now, and as we get ready for those interviews, we will see who we are talking to. Starting with Rohey Robinson. Let me see if I can get hold of him here in just a moment. Rohey, you with me? Rohey?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, sir. Well, just a moment here as we try to sort out some technical difficulties.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry, so Rohey, yeah, first race looked good. What was it, P2?
Yes, that's right.
Second race, not so great. Battle there with you and Jaden trying to get the win, and it all unraveled from there. Talk us through the event.
Well, race one was I wouldn't say a walk in the park, but I was more focused on Kurt behind me, so I didn't make the move for Jaden. So I didn't use my push to pass in the earlier stint. So that was well done. I qualified second and I came P2, so I'm fine with that. However, on race two, I'm not sure what happened. But, well, I do know what happened. During practice all week, I think Jaden and I did the same move where he was on the inside and I was on the outside, but knowing that I couldn't make it, then I let him pass because he was on the inside. It was more dangerous for me on the outside. In the race, the roles were reversed. So I'm expecting Jaden to actually, I had the right to the corner, so I'm not going to be bullied past, right? And Jaden knows how I drive, I think, so he shouldn't have made a move like that on me per se. But I think I did a good job to brake at the right moment to make that corner, but unfortunately Jaden did not. So I got took out, and unfortunately I had 4 cuts, so that one was like the final cut for me, so I had a drive through. So unfortunate events. I think Jaden will agree that I think he takes full responsibility for that one. Yeah, I'm not upset or anything. It was great racing, as you could see.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm gonna tell you next time you come on Jamaica, we'll have to carry you down to St. Thomas, cause you, sir, need a wash off. But yeah, unfortunate, but great racing nonetheless. Congratulations on the P2, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay, no problem. All right, thanks.
All right, RJ. Next up, we will be talking to Joshua Brady. Mr. Brady, with me?
Yes, sir.
Managing a podium there. It looks so strange to see Joshua Brady on the podium, but you provided most of the action in the first race and finding yourself on the podium in the second race. How was that event for you overall?
I've never been so lucky in my life.
Oh
Not one
my
time.
goodness. Well, yeah, no, managing to bring it home P3 in the first race there, the battle with Yukimane and Ferrero. I think you came out on top in that battle, but that looked like a lot of fun. How was that?
I did come out on top until I threw it away in the last couple corners and Eric took it back, but it was fun for the most part. Just a little more touchy than I wanted it to be, but it was clean for the most part and it was fun.
Fair enough.
I hope it was as fun to watch.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely was. Like I said, you guys were the life of the party in the first race. But overall, good racing action. Congratulations on the podium, and we'll talk again.
Thank you so much. Hoping for more.
Absolutely. Good luck.
All right.
Okay, that was Joshua Brady P2 in the second race of the evening. So we are looking to see who we will be talking to next, and it is looking like Mr. Mark Anthony Eaton is next up on our interview list. Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so not quite on pace for the first race. I think, what was it, P4? And managing a podium in the second race. How are you feeling after that event?
Not bad after no practice. I've been focusing on a different race that is tomorrow. So I haven't gotten much practice in these cars. But not bad. I wasn't too far off the pace. Jaden and Roher are on a different level, so I stuck with the pace I had. I didn't really worry about what pace they were doing.
Absolutely, yeah, no, and that seemed to come to you in the second race there. Those two having a tangle, and here you find yourself in P2. When you mentioned a different race, preparing for your endurance tour in the morning. How are you feeling in preparation for that?
Pretty good. Jaden and I are sharing a car tomorrow. So both of us have good pace. In the top 15, which is like the top 4 or 5 teams. So it looking good. It's just to see if we can be consistent and keep the car in one piece.
Absolutely, selfishly plugging you there, for that event. But yeah, no, good luck in the morning, and see you on track.
Yeah. I'll hopefully you can probably slow down some of those GT4 cars that you're lapping for me.
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
All right, Mark. Okay, that was Mark Anthony Eaton mentioning there that we have two teams entering a 6-hour endurance at Bathurst in the morning. I myself happen to be on one of those teams. Shouts out, yeah, ooh. And Mark Anthony Eaton along with Jaden Harrison on the other. But next up, race 2 winner, Raven Plummer. Raven, are you hearing me?
Yes, I am.
Well, congratulations there. I'd like to say I can take full responsibility for that race win here from the commentary box, not having done any of the driving myself because I called it from the start, but congratulations nonetheless. How was the event?
Thank you. I mean, it was honestly quite frustrating. I didn't have the pace. I didn't have the mental focus, so my entire objective was just to finish in the top half of the grid. And that second race, I was pretty much gifted the victory by way of winning the war of attrition, and I can't feel too happy about winning a race like that. I'd rather it be through my own hard work.
Fair enough. But a win is a win nonetheless, so, congratulations on that. A very lonely first race, though, there in, I think, P5.
Yep. Yep, just didn't have the pace, and they didn't make mistakes in that one.
Fair enough. But congratulations nonetheless, and I'm sure we'll be talking again soon.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right. So that is Raven Plummer taking victory in the second race, and finally, I think we will be talking to race one winner, Jaden Harrison. Jaden, you there?
Yeah.
Well, race one, dominant performance, led from the start, never looked touchable. Race two, not going so well, you know, a bit of an incident there with you and Jorge. Talk us through what happened.
So I pushed the pass to catch, and I got alongside before the corner, so I was entitled to space, and I went into the corner, broke a little early, and then the front tires just stopped working, and I understeered into the grass. So there's nothing I could have done. I just became a passenger, nowhere to go, and the understeer.
Yeah, unfortunate event there. Looking like you and Jorge were gonna fight it out for the win, but not quite working out. And then you had another incident on the recovery drive. What happened there?
After the incident,
Yeah, so you were, I think, in P4, and then you tumbled down to the back of the grid after that.
oh yes, my wheel came off the rig, so I was trying to fix that for like 2 laps.
Oh, that's rather unfortunate. Yeah. Second race not looking so well, but as mentioned by Mark, you have an endurance race in the morning where you are on teams with Mark driving a GT4 car. How are you feeling in preps for that?
I'm feeling pretty good about that. Car feel good. We can go for a win.
Absolutely. Well, good luck in that event, sir. Hopefully all of the bad juju came out in the second race here this evening, and you are good to go for tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so that about concludes our info.
Well, before we conclude, Mr. Dillon, I just would like to, speak to the most humble of humble Mr. Chad Dillon, who will be taking part in the GT3 classification in the 6 hours of Mount Panorama Bathurst tomorrow morning, starting as early as 7:05 a.m. You've done the interview, so let me just take a quick one and ask you, how are you feeling, Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, no, I'm just going out there to do some laps. You know, my teammate Mitch and Wallace is gonna be the one doing the heavy lifting. You know, I just there to carry the car home, really.
Ladies and gentlemen, when I say modest, I mean modest. So, young ladies, if you're listening, please give this young man a shout. Just be reminded, I am always reminded that he used to be my little beaten stick. And sadly, with a lot of, he has a lot of practice. I do have some catching up to do now. I must say I'm proud of his growth in every stage of racing and how far he's come from where he was. Because trust me, I have some YouTube videos of him back in the day with I am Sparta. Flips over. So again, Chad, to you and your teammate, Mr. Wallace, and to Jaden and Mark Anthony tomorrow, I expect nothing but the highest order of you guys. You are Team JSRA and you're representing Jamaica as true Jamaican athletes. I hope you take pride in this and know that you have the full support of the JSRA in every way, shape, and form, as well as all of our fans. I know they will be coming in and tuning in to watch and give you as much support as they possibly can, because I do see a podium for each classifications. I know you guys are quick, I know you guys are consistent, and with all of the hard work you guys have been putting in every single night, I have to give you a quick interview. Hats off, gentlemen. I wish nothing but the best, and God is on our side. I am excited. I'm not so excited to wake up so early tomorrow morning, so I guess this is the time to bring this stream to a conclusion at the end of this night. So thank you as always, Mr. Dillon, for having me in the commentary booth. I'll leave you to your final goodbyes.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, thank you there, El Presidente. Yeah, no, that shout out is something else. I do like the thought though, yeah, that podium for each of us. Could be on the cards. I do like to think that we do have the pace for that. So let's see how that unfolds. But yes, here we are at the end of our stream. Not as action-packed as some of the races in the past, but certainly did provide us with some entertainment. Once again, if you enjoyed what you saw here this evening, be sure to check out our social medias for further updates as to what events we have coming up. Lots to come your way, and further events, more action-packed racing to be provided as per usual. Our social medias on Instagram at JSRA Official, on YouTube at JSRA 876, and if you are tuning in on Sportsmax, we do appreciate your views over there as well. And if you are interested in participating in any of our events going forward, you can reach out to us on any of our social medias for the breakdown as to how you get involved. Once again, thank you for being here with us this evening, and we shall see you tomorrow for the conclusion, round 4 of the TCR Championship. It is the semifinals, not the conclusion. There's another race later down in the year. Details on that will come your way in due course, but once again, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you again soon.
We are coming up to as
man. So
there is a round.
outside. Oh yeah.
Ooh, he tried the switcheroo.
Yeah.
You came and failed the test, you met the best, expected chess, but got monopoly. I came and bought you out, I knocked you out, I crouched you out with no apologies. I am the hope, the heart, the fate, the spark, the one who will fulfill the prophecy. I just been counting, never lounging, climbing up mountains, bouncing back. Step in the ring, about to step back. They'll learn hot when I get on the track. I like it louder than most. Watching all these shit just buy down to the goat. If I can't decide, I'ma probably get both. We didn't celebrate, but right now I'm a toast. Resurrected
Here is Eastman going side by side with Jaden Harrison. Jaden Harrison took him on the inside, but Eastman says no and closes the door. But here he is now about to lose 2 positions heading into the penultimate corner. Now coming through the final corner, can Moss get past Eastman as well?